Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to I Don't Want No Huns. This is my YouTube channel where typically I do commentary on Zoom calls or, well, I guess just Zoom calls or posts that are on posts on Instagram to debunk misinformation and things that are misleading in the scam that we all have come to know and love as multi-level marketing. Today, I've been sitting for a week on the WFABB fiasco. Let's just call it what it is. It's been a fiasco. Everything happened 1 week ago today. If you're watching this, I'm recording on a Thursday. Everything kind of blew up on Thanksgiving night. And, I was going to do a reaction video to the opportunity call. I was going to do a reaction video to the info call where the leaders met with everyone in WFABB to tell them that they were moving to iGenius, which is a Bitcoin Forex trading MLM. And I had a lot of different ideas. I even started to do a reaction video or a commentary video as one of my characters, as Kaylee. And I'll be honest with you, it was exhausting. It was exhausting to, one, keep up that kind of mentality of being on that side of the thought process. And two, I don't think I can listen to another one of those calls again, at least to react to it. Godspeed to anyone who is listening to them and doing live reactions. I don't have it in me. It is currently my lunch break. I have a lot of thoughts about what's been going on. I also had an instance this morning where I was reached out to by a Monet Hun who became pretty defensive about what I was doing. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to briefly touch about, I should really start making scripts for these, to briefly touch on what happened with that. And then to touch on the purpose of the movement, to re-examine and reevaluate, or just remind everybody what it means to bully and what it means to slander. I've made videos about that before, but I think it's always really important to just kind of go over it again. And then talk about the difference between bullying and parody. So I guess let me start there, right? Before the WFABB downfall, I started my whole channel, my whole Instagram account really started to become a parody account where I had created lots of characters that parody the behavior of different people. Okay. Now let's take a look at shows like Saturday Night Live. Okay. Saturday Night Live is known for parodying and creating satire about real life events. And it's funny because, they only will parody or satire public figures by name. So for example, during the 2020 election season, we saw Alec Baldwin playing Donald Trump. And honestly, he didn't have to work that hard to create content to be Donald Trump, right? It was pretty easy because that public figure presented it all to us, okay? But there was also, parodying, is that the right way to say that word? Whatever, of Joe Biden and of every political candidate. And if you sit and watch that and don't think that's bullying, then what I do, what all of us in this community that do any kind of parodying is not bullying. There's a difference between making a satire and making up a character that is based on someone else, but based on what their behavior is. Then if I were to put on a wig and call myself Jessie Lee Ward or call myself Brittany Rose and then pretend to be them and then say things that are really hateful, right? The difference here that is really crucial for everybody to kind of wrap their heads around, especially if you're on the MLM side of things, is that to parody or to satire a situation is not to bully. Okay, especially when you're a public figure. To bully would be if I were to put on a wig and say that I am a specific person and then make fun of things that they can't control. Things about who they are fundamentally as a person, their hair, their face, their size, their religion, their race, anything like that. That would be bullying, okay? So just to clear that up. The other thing that becomes interesting is when they get offended because we have criticized the product. So today's Hun, who messaged me, said that I needed to get a new hobby, and why do I do what I do? I must be really bored. I responded very calmly and said, hey, it's really great to hear from you. I am an educator, and so it is in my nature to educate people on things that are factual and true, to provide them information, and to let them do with that as they want. She said, oh, you're an educator? What, do you have a degree for that? And I was like, yes, I do have a degree for that. That is a very weird flex, or a very weird accusation, because truthfully, I could come back and say, do you have a degree, a cosmetology license, to be giving anyone hair advice? I would probably gamble that you don't. Now, there are some hair care, like there are some cosmetology licensed professionals who do sell Monet. I can't explain it. I don't understand. What I want to talk about, though, based on this experience that I had today, is that we have to lead. We have to lead with kindness in our hearts, right? I make these characters, and I do it because I have a lot of ideas, and I like to be funny. I like to make people laugh. But it's never out of a place of malice. Now, there is a weird line that you walk when you become a person in comedy who does this type of comedy. Because when does the behavior become so ingrained in the person that you are, recreating, that it's no longer just the behavior, but that is who that person is? At some point, some people's behavior does become who they are. They become associated 100% with that behavior. And if that behavior is toxic and dangerous and bullying, okay, then we've like opened up a whole new can of worms, okay? I try very hard in my parodying to only focus on the behavior. I have never outright said that I hate anybody, because I don't. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me to not feel like maybe hate is brewing with some people. It's not been in the anti-MLM community. I don't hate Jessie Lee Ward. I don't particularly care for her, but I don't hate her. She is a person just like I am, just like you are. I don't hate Brittany Rose. I don't hate this girl that messaged me. These are people who have been indoctrinated into this way of thinking, right? Okay, that their entire personality is wrapped up in the product that they are selling. And so the example that I gave on my stories today, I use a Vino face wash right now. That could change. Who knows? Because I'm not like married to anything. And if somebody came to me and was like, oh God, you use a Vino. That's like terrible stuff. It made me break out. You shouldn't use that. You're a terrible person for using it. I'd be like, okay, I'm sorry that made you break out. It doesn't make me break out. Cool. But if somebody came to me and said, hey, I just thought you should know, because I know you use a Vino, there's an ingredient in there that's been linked to cancer. I just wanted to give you a heads up. I'd be like, oh crap. I'm going to go look that up, and I'm going to acknowledge that information might be factual. And if I find the same resources as you, I'm going to consider maybe not using it. What I'm not going to do is get my panties all in a bunch and feel like you have personally attacked me and called me names and made me out to be some sort of villain for using a Vino face wash. That would be crazy. That would be absolutely lunacy, except that is literally what we're seeing here. We are seeing people get so offended when you say, hey, let's look at the dry shampoo. Detective Lovey does a whole story about the dry shampoo, because one of the things that the current Monet Huns are really trying to push is that the dry shampoo doesn't have any butane in it, propane, whatever. So when you spray it onto a flame, it's not like making a huge flame like normal dry hair shampoo would be. However, the bottle does say that it is combustible. There's a warning sign on it. And there is a ingredient in their dry shampoo that is linked to other major health problems that the European Union has banned, but America has not. So in the European Union formula, it's not in there, but in America's, it is in there. That's problematic. And so if I'm a Monet market partner and I'm presented with that information, it is not normal to get so upset and defensive. What would be normal is just be like, oh no, that seems slightly problematic. And then if you decide that it's not problematic enough for you to stop selling it, at least just own it and say, I can't explain that. So maybe don't buy it. But here are other things that don't have that ingredient. Okay? Another example I like to give is I'm a teacher. I talk about that all the time. And if you want to talk about an industry that constantly is attacked all the time, it is the education industry. It is the teachers of America. We are constantly yelled at for not doing what everybody thinks we should be doing. People who don't do our jobs day in and day out, who don't even come close to understanding. Now let me give a difference between being a consultant for an MLM and being a teacher. Anybody can be a consultant for an MLM. So anybody can join an MLM, have an experience that is either positive or negative, but most likely going to be negative based on statistics, and then come out of that experience and speak about it, and then speak against it and say, this needs to stop. Not everybody is a teacher. Not everybody is going to school and get a 4-year degree in education and take classes on educational psychology and methods on how to teach, all sorts of different topics. Not everyone's going to do that. And not even all those people are going to go get a master's degree in education or psychology or whatever. So when people pass judgment on what teachers do, it is from a place of lack of knowledge of what we go on, what we deal with day in and day out. And still, even with that aversion to us, people saying that they think that we shouldn't get paid. Like when the pandemic happened, for example, and everybody was at home learning and parents had to help teach, and teachers were, some teachers were not doing as great with adapting to it, and other teachers were soaring with it and doing great. Whatever. There were parents all over the country that were like, well, we should get part of their pay. They shouldn't get the same pay because they're at home just sitting on their butts. And that comes from a complete place of misinformation or no information and anger and frustration, right? Okay. And that was unfair. And we spoke back. We posted things. We said, that's not fair for you to say about us. But again, we were defending the profession, not ourselves as a person. Okay. There's a difference. When we criticize the multi-level marketing industry, it is because a huge part of us, a huge percentage of us have been there. We have experienced it. And even the ones that have not been involved in a multi-level marketing company, you can access all of the information. You can see everything there is to see about their compensation plan, about what they do. There is so much available to us to see the truth of what goes on behind the scenes, that it's not an opinion. There is a difference between fact and opinion. For example, I am going to use this person as an example because who cares? Donald Trump. It is a fact that he was not a great president based on a number of different things. It is also a fact that he did do some things that were beneficial. Now, based on those facts, okay, it is a fact that he said terribly derogatory things about veterans, about people, about women. Those are all facts. You can't look at that and say, that didn't happen. If you have eyes to hear, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, it happened. It is an opinion, however, if you think that he is a terrible person because of it, or you think, well, I'm going to make an excuse for it, he's not so bad. That is an opinion. Another example, Joe Biden. Joe Biden, it is a fact that he is 78 years old. It is a fact that he is Catholic. It is a fact that he leads with compassion and empathy. Okay? There are plenty of facts. And it is a fact that there are some things he's not doing great. Okay? We can look at some of the things and be like, oh, gosh, we're not fighting hard enough. Okay? It is an opinion of whether we think he's a good or bad person. Is an opinion of whether we think that when he stammers over his words, if he is experiencing part of his stutter, or maybe he's slipping into some dementia, which actually might not even be opinion. That should not even be whatever. The point is, when you look at actual facts in front of you, okay, it is a fact, and if it can be proven, then you can't say, well, that's your opinion. No. This is a fact. It is your opinion on whether or not you're going to ignore it or do something about it. So when you are presented with information about your company and it is proven, this is a fact, then you have the right to make an opinion on whether or not you want to do something about it or not. Here is one more example that I would like to give to you. And this example is in the simplest of forms that I could possibly come up with. It is a fact that in my town where I live right now, it is cold. It is cold today. It is an opinion of mine whether I think it is unbearably cold or manageably cold. Because when I go outside and feel that weather and think, oh, I can handle this, but then someone else goes outside and goes, are you nuts? It is freezing. We are two different people. We experience things differently. So you can't say, it's not cold out here. Yes, it is cold. It is 30 degrees. That is cold. Scientifically proven that 30 degrees is cold. But how we experience things is different. Okay? So that's the difference on opinions. So to go back now to the WFABB situation, the reason that we are so vocal about WFABB is because this situation with Jasmine and Dre has exposed to everyone that is paying any attention to it. And let me also be clear that in the grand scale of like the world, this is a blip. Like nobody else knows about this except for like, I don't know, the 10,000 people maybe that are paying attention. Like it is a blip on the radar. In the grand scheme of the world, this does not matter. Okay, but it does matter to an extent because this shows what type of behavior is typical in a predatory business like an MLM. It shows that people who are at the top of a pyramid, the top of a team, are able to just make a decision, and that decision then affects thousands of people below them. And now these people the people who decided to not go to iGenius have no upline. Where are they being reassigned to? It's exposing that there is no loyalty, mostly. I would say the people that I've experienced MLMs with, they are, I would not ever lump them in with some of these people. This is primarily a very toxic situation that we're looking at here, and I don't think that this even fully represents everyone. But in every MLM, there are top leaders way at the top. And those top leaders typically behave this way, okay? So what they've done is they've moved from selling shampoo to selling classes on Bitcoin, which you can get online for free. In an MLM that is even more proven that this is more of a pyramid scheme. When they literally said in their opportunity call, you have to pay $175 a month to maintain your membership. But if you recruit 4 people who also join and they're paying $175 a month, then yours is free. And so then you say to those people, you can get yours free too if you recruit more people. And so then it literally is a pyramid. Like the fact that anybody would look at this and not see that that's like, this is more so a pyramid scheme than even Monet is. And Monet is 100% a pyramid scheme, but this is even more obvious. And so we're seeing this happen in real time. We are seeing Monet market partners who were in WFABB reaching out to our community saying like, this is crazy. Like, we can't believe this is happening. Thank you for covering it, right? It's weird because we're almost encouraging WFABB people to stay with Monet, which we would rather them leave all of the MLMs. But if you're going to choose which devil, I would pick Devil Monet than Devil iGenius. So at the end of the day, the situation with WFABB has exposed how terribly toxic and how completely gaslighting these women are and can be, the behavior they have chosen to exhibit. We get into their Zoom calls because we want to see, we want to show everybody, here's what you're experiencing. And when somebody says this thing here, this is what this means. This is not true. This is gaslighting. And everybody gets mad because nobody wants to be held accountable. I think, I think that one of the biggest downfalls of America is that we feel like we can say whatever we want and don't you dare hold me accountable. We also feel like we understand what the word slander means, and it's not slander. Slander, to remind everybody, is to make a statement about somebody that can be proven to be false, is proven false. For example, if somebody said about me that I had an affair, not allegedly having an affair, that I had an affair with such and such a person on such and such a date, and it is completely false, that is slander. Okay? So that's not what's happening here. When you are presented with written proof of ingredients of, or recorded calls of people saying things, and so then we comment on it, that's not slander. That is just commentary. That is providing information to the public so that more people hopefully will find this information and not be sucked in to an MLM. So at the end of the day, that's, how many times have I said at the end of the day? I just needed to get this off my chest. I know it wasn't necessarily concise or well thought out. I wrote a few notes of things I wanted to talk about, but I just needed to get it off my chest so I could get back to work after lunch because I have a lot to do, but this has been swirling around my mind. The thing I want you to take away from this, okay, is the best way to stop a bully in its tracks is, I always tell my kids, you ignore them. But when you meet them with kindness, when you meet them with a place of understanding and compassion and empathy, and you're very kind about it, then they have nowhere to go. So let me read to you, and I'll probably put it up. Let me read to you what this Monet Hunt said and exactly my response so that you can see the best way. And let me also say, I used to be, and sometimes I still do want to be like, oh yeah, well, look, it would, that happens a lot from time to time. And I have to take a breath, recenter myself, and just say, it's the behavior. It's not the person. Don't attack them. They think that what they're doing is right. So here's what they said. She responded to one of my slides where I was debunking information that Monet was putting out. She said, are you this bored? I don't necessarily like the WFABB 2.0, but I sure as hell love Monet. Like, honey, please get a real job with a real hobby. So I responded with, and this was at 7:30 in the morning, mind you. I mean, I woke up to this. I responded and said, hi, so good to hear from you. I'm not bored. I do have a real job. I'm an educator. So it's in my nature to provide accurate information to people to help others from falling victim to predatory practices. It's great that you love Monet, but unfortunately it has caused many problems for women with their hair, on top of which Monet has lied about what is in their products, and the business model encourages predatory behavior. If you ever want to learn more, there's lots of resources available. Otherwise, I hope you have a really great day. Take care. Her response. I've used Monet for almost a year, and I really don't agree, babe, but to each their own. Quote, I'm an educator, unquote. Do you have a degree for that? Side eye. You too, take care. Hope this whole thing doesn't consume you. You seem very obsessed with this and slandering people. You're literally making fun of others because of your limiting belief, babe. It's not cute. Please seek inner help for this. So my response was, I do, in fact, have an education degree, and I'm working towards a master's in psychology. It's interesting that you say slandering. Slandering is to make false statements that can be proven false about a person specifically. Criticizing shampoo and a business model is not slander. Can I ask you a question? Why do you feel offended or attacked by the criticism of a product? And as of many hours later, she has not even read it or answered me. And the reason for that is because there's nothing left that she can do unless she decides to just go for the attack and be mean and start to bully. And you can't bully me. If you're not going to say anything to me, I haven't heard before. So my advice when you see these people in the comments, meet them at a place of kindness. Constantly be kind. Don't give them the opportunity to try to attack you, because then when they do, they're just making themselves look bad. Because some of them will, no matter how kind you are. Some of them are still going to attack you and tell you that your hair needs toner or whatever. It's not necessary, and you are better than that. So I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful day. And as always, thanks for being here, and don't join an MLM.